Hi, Chris. What is up?
Hi Martina, what is up? I'm good. And you?
I'm
Good to
great.
talk to you.
I'm drinking water. Great to talk to you again. We had such a lovely time
It
last
was
time
amazing,
we
yes.
went live, yeah. And I think we have still like even though we had like a bunch of time, we still have some subjects that we didn't even cover, and I have so much questions for you, so we can just hop on.
Yeah, I have a couple
And
for you as well, so it'll be a
ooh,
fun
yeah,
afternoon. Hang.
yeah. So I know that you were on tour and that you had a
Yes.
great time. So would you like to tell us something more about that?
Um, yeah, I mean, it definitely was something special after almost 1.5 years of being at home, right? I mean, I guess for most of
Mm,
us, it was kind of crazy going back. Um, and for me, it kind of happened in the past 2 months or something that my whole schedule kind of exploded, like literally, like it was incredible. Like it seemed like
yeah,
everyone I've ever worked with wanted to do something. So,
exactly.
sort of, and right now I'm kind of in that state of mind, like, oh, I hope it stays like that, because like it
It's
was
better
really,
to be
really,
busy.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It was super crazy. No, but this was I'm working with this artist from South Africa. Her name is Alice, and she's actually pretty incredible. She started out as a street musician 10 years ago, and now made her way until, yeah, like the pretty much top of the European music scene. Like she's selling out big venues and stuff, and it's a
Wow.
lot of fun. And a lot of my friends are in the band. So yeah, it was so nice to get back and actually play in front of people that were really, really enthusiastic, and kind of singing along and having a real party. I mean, in some
Yeah.
some countries there was still restrictions, but in some we played, for example, in London, where
Hmm.
um, it was full. Like there was no seated audience. Everyone was standing. Everyone was dancing. So
It's
that was,
amazing.
yeah, I almost got a, like the first show I almost got a panic attack when I saw everyone standing there and going crazy, like you're just not used to that anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah, like
i
do
really
you
hope
remember
i
that
really hope
stage?
the music stays now.
Yeah. Do
Sorry.
you remember that stage in when in the lockdowns when for me, for example, when I watched a movie and then there was a scene with a bunch of people, I got like anxious. I was like, "Oh my God, there are so much people there." Like I'm not feeling comfortable
Yeah, exactly.
because like yeah,
I totally know what you mean. It's so weird. It kind of reprogrammed a whole behavior in some way, right? Like it's like
exactly.
you're watching a movie and like, oh, they're not wearing masks. What's
Yeah,
happening?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but let's see. It's really what they said. It's a new reality. So it was even crazier to be back in that kind of
Mm,
felt like 2019. Like it was
yeah,
really,
yeah,
it
yeah.
felt like a flashback in some way. And yeah, it was great though. Like it was really fun, and it was also interesting because I was so busy here in my studio before, so I didn't really have time to prepare for playing live again. So it was um, quite a challenge to get back to the physical strength that you would need for like
Mm,
75-minute show like that,
mm.
and because yeah, it's definitely a total different skill set than the recording thing. Yeah, but I managed. had a little
Yeah.
bit of strain injury after 3 weeks, but that's now I'm back running. I know that you're studying with Dave Illich, right? Like I was actually thinking of after that experience, like my body kind of feeling a bit off after this longer run. Like I was actually really thinking of like contacting him and doing some stuff with him, but because I'm practicing Alexander technique myself actually since a few years, but
Yeah.
my Alexander teacher, we're not at that stage yet that she's not a musician or a drummer, so it's a bit, would be amazing to have that applied to what we do, like, yeah.
Yeah, I cannot recommend Dave Illich like enough. He's like I only had one lesson with him
Yeah.
and before that, I watched his course, like, Getting Out of
Yeah,
Your Own Way. So like both of those like scenarios, like watching the course and the lesson, like changed my whole approach, and I think even my mindset and everything. Like he was so encouraging and like a really kind person. Like
yeah, he seems like such a cool dude. Yeah,
yeah, he's like so humble, and like his teaching is really like he's so wise, and I think a lot of that comes from meditation, because like his approach is really, I think, similar to that, like really calm, and he's listening to you, and he tries to help you as
that's great.
humanly as he can do. And yeah, I think you should go for it.
Yeah, yeah. I really
Amazing.
felt the need actually, like to get like my whole kind of body mind game back. Actually, like it
Yeah.
worked, but I felt it after when I was home. I felt it that I worked hard in some way. Like
And I think that even that's like for me, speaking for myself, is just the surface of everything that we could dive in. Like I
yeah,
would love to take like so many more lessons with him,
yeah,
just to pick his brain on being loose and holding sticks and playing with power, because he's like the man for that. So go
he
for it.
is for
Yeah.
sure.
And
Yeah,
even I, for example, I studied from like that course and did some stuff that he recommends, but I still haven't uh like like I haven't gotten into Alexander technique. So would you like to kind of brief me a
oh
little bit
yeah,
about that?
definitely. Yeah, it's very interesting. Like I found it through a friend of mine who's a dancer. She's practicing it since a couple of years. Um,
Hmm.
she just took me with her to an Alexander teacher, and it's actually mainly about the relationship between your head, your neck, your shoulders, your back, your relationship to the floor, to
Okay.
everything around you in the room. Right? It's about like that you in theory, like Alexander says, the modern human being is basically exposed to so many inputs all the time that we
Yeah.
are basically overreacting all the time, right? Like so, pretty much like the standard posture of the modern 21st century human is like this, like constant
Yeah.
kind of defense mode,
Mm.
and this makes you just very aware of your body mechanics. For example, for the first couple of lessons, I was basically just practicing with the teacher to stand up and sit down on a chair.
Wow.
Um, yeah, because it's so interesting. Like if you really observe, it's basically a meditation thing. Like if you really observe your movement, it's um, it's extremely interesting that you're basically doing way too much. Like standing up and sitting down is extremely easy and effortless, but
Okay.
many
Oh my
people
God.
just lift all their weight, when they
Yeah.
stand up, for example. And if you do it for a good half year or something, or I did it for I think 9 months. I went weekly to an Alexander teacher. It it really sneaks into your everyday life, right? Like you always are monitoring your head, neck, and shoulder relationship to like that you're feeling tension. You really try to always kind of monitor it and correct it, and but not actively correct it. That's the thing. It's really more about like letting go, right? Like it's about the theory is kids pretty much um, don't have that. Like kids are moving naturally, but us grown-ups, we have all these weird patterns that just society and in like the everyday input just put on us, like these weird movement patterns, and actually it translates perfectly to drums. It's actually great that Dave just picked that up. I would love
Yeah.
to talk about that because it's the drums itself, like they're crazy input to the human brain. Like a drum set in front of you is just insane, right? Like every kid just starts banging on it directly. So it was fun. I had a few lessons on the drums with my Alexander teacher, And the first thing we practiced was not playing, just sitting there and kind of resisting this crazy input that was coming from the drums at me, you know, stuff like this.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I think that his main point of getting out of your own way from Dave Village is that I got it from him and his course is that we all the movements that we do while we play on the drums and everything are the natural ones that we also use doing like everyday things. So it doesn't
exactly.
have to be that it's like the molar technique is something that it's only meant for drums, but like it's meant for like when you're throwing a ball, when you're like wants to do something with a lot of
Lifting up a
power.
cup of coffee, whatever.
Yeah, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
It's
and
everything.
exactly
That's
like
the
and it's not like only from the shoulder, you can do it from the wrist and elbow and that we tend to like spend 10 years doing like and making bad habits on the drums and then
totally.
relearning to be natural instead of like so he says that we're learning to play drums backwards. So
Yeah. So
learning
interesting.
it
Yeah. But I
with kind of like bad habits and then
totally subscribe
going
to that.
to yeah. So that's like so true.
Yeah, it's a great topic. It's a great topic. And yeah, so that really helped me actually, like finding, for example, balance on the drums. Because like when I was younger, I always had a few problems because I'm pretty tall actually.
Yeah.
I'm 190.
Oh.
So that's actually quite tall for a drummer, right? Like
Mm,
if you think about it, if you look at most really great drummers, they are mostly like rather 170 or something, you know, because it's a kinetic thing. Like I always have to adjust the, like for example, if I get a backline kit, most of
yeah.
the time the chair is not going high enough for me and stuff like this, you know. And
Okay.
so that's quite interesting. Also, I spent a lot of time with the Alexander teacher for that, because that causes like stuff that you can get thrown off balance, right? When you're pretty tall and the drums are basically set up too low for you or too weird.
Mm,
So I pretty much really readjusted a lot of my balance issues with Alexander technique. Just really trusting the chair, trusting the pedals, the floor, and
yeah.
being like just more aware, you know, like that was amazing, actually. Like I can really recommend it to any musician or anyone who's doing any kind of repetitive work. Even people working in an office, they can
Mm,
largely benefit from doing a few sessions. You know, like their general like health, I think.
yeah, and I think even like I made a small break with working out. So I was doing like for a year and so I was doing like I was working out and then I did like a small break from like month and something like that. And when I started feeling like so bad, like in my body was feeling like I don't have energy. My
Like a
back is
bag of
always hurting.
potatoes.
Yeah, exactly. And like I'm getting up from that and it's like I never even slept, you know? It's like my back hurts, everything hurts. And this week I got back to the gym and it's like a whole different story now. Like
Whole
I
different
feel
story.
like
Amazing.
a different person and I think even that if we are like playing a physical instrument that instrument requires us to be like physically uh healthy and like
Absolutely.
yeah
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah
It's true. Like I think I also, I mean, I don't have so much time. I don't work out regularly, but I do at least 10 minutes of just back exercises every day.
yeah
And I can recommend
mm,
that to any drummer. Like it's so important, like that you, like your back is, I think, the most dangerous area. I think when you play drums and when you, I, for example, I also practiced with a mirror a long time, which was great, so that I wouldn't have the weird slouching stuff happening and stuff. You know, like
mm,
you see that a lot, like this kind of like. I mean, it looks
yeah
great, but if you do it for 15 years, you know, it would really. it would really hurt you. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a great topic. I think we went quite deep with that already.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But shout out to Dave. I hope I can study with him soon.
yeah,
And yeah, pretty good.
yeah. Such a great guy, like, and a teacher and a musician, drummer, everything. He's like, go for it. And like back to the touring stuff,
Mhm.
which countries did you cover?
This was, yeah, it was initially planned to be a full European run, but again, COVID hit, so there were single dates got extracted from the schedule already
Mm,
again. So in the end, it was Germany, quite a few, and then Belgium, France got cancelled, Holland got cancelled as well.
like the whole country?
Um,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah.
like,
It's because I think you were still allowed to do concerts, but the problem was you could not run the venues at full capacity, or like the capacity would have been too low, so that the production costs of going there would have like, you know. So basically,
yeah,
everything got rescheduled to 22 to April 22, which is crazy.
yeah,
Yeah,
but
but
at least
that's the
is
reality we're in.
reschedule.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then UK, like London show, which was like that was the best. Like she has the like that's her main audience, and it was just
Ooh,
mayhem. Yeah.
perfect.
um,
And for example, do you have how does your day look like when you're on tour? Like, do you have any like routine? Do you stick to a practice schedule even if you're on tour?
no, actually, unfortunately not, because it's quite stressful, the travel with this. We're not on a nightliner or something. It's mostly a hybrid thing between
Mm-hmm.
flying and mostly rental van kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like we have a team, we have a tour management and a driver and stuff, but it's it's a lot of like long hours. Mostly we're driving in the morning and then arriving somewhere, and our day in the venue starts around 1 or 2 mostly. The
Mm-hmm.
get in, then this sound check. It's just I feel you wait a lot. Obviously, I could practice there. I could just take a practice pad or something, but I kind of don't do that. What I do is I learn new music for other projects. That's
Okay.
my route. Yeah. For example, I had right after I had different gigs with piano player with a piano trio that was totally different, required a very very different touch, very different mindset. So what I was doing, I used the off time on tour to prepare new music, right? Like I had an
Mm,
iPad with the sheet music. I had
okay.
the recordings. um, and yeah, what I could say, maybe I mentally practiced, which is also quite important. I think you can practice drums without actually hitting them, like just
Yeah.
really thinking about what you would do, like, or thinking about being inside the music. And I think this is what I do. But other than that, yeah, I mean, I'm warming up a little bit before a show. That's what I do. Maybe 10-15 minutes of just doubles and singles, stuff like this, just to get the blood flowing. And to be honest with you, I right now I don't practice anyway, right? Right. So it's not
Yeah.
like it's not a big difference from being home and on tour, because I got 2 small kids. I got a ton of work at the moment, so it's rather I when I touch the drums, I work on something,
Yeah.
which is practice. So it's but I had phases in my life where I was really practicing. Obviously, like it's great. I would love to do it again. Like I miss it a lot.
Yeah.
Like
Mm.
I don't feel like that I'm at the max of my capacity at the moment, but just thinking about it helps as well. If you just listen to a new piece of music or experience, find a cool new thing or something, that is practicing. It's like you don't have to repeat everything 1,000 times. I mean, I'm playing for such a long time now. But what I do though, I have a little like maintenance thing. Like I touch the sticks every day, whatever happens,
Yeah.
right? Like it's I play on a pad for 5 minutes or something. I just do it. It just
Yeah.
feels great. Like it's the same with the working out. If I wouldn't do that for a month, I would feel terrible.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah,
what I know.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
I
this
mean,
certain level of maintenance that you have to kind of hold down, and then I think, yeah, it's like it's interesting. The whole, for example, I was experimenting on the tour a little bit, like with seating positions, and like, so even a gig can be practicing as well, you know, like if you challenge
exactly.
yourself,
Yeah.
a little bit. I was just one night I was just trying out, yeah, what happens if I put up my seat position a little bit higher, stuff like
Mm-hmm.
this is just, you know, like I just try to, yeah, whatever happens, challenge myself. And so I'm basically constantly thinking about drums and music. So you know,
Obsessed.
so
Yeah,
yeah, of
exactly. I
course.
think mental practice is a real thing. And I mean, if Lionel Lewis was saying that he learned the songs for Snarky Puppy for his
Yeah,
first show on a plane,
yeah,
then
that's it.
it's, yeah,
Exactly,
like,
that's it. But you can do it, right? Like you can think about
imagine, yeah.
doing it. I can even, you know, you even hear all the tones and everything, and you feel the movement in your hands. It's and your feet.
Mm,
So yeah,
yeah,
it
cool.
works.
And for example, like what was your setup on tour? What did you play?
The drums, you mean?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's actually it's my first professional drum kit that is on that tour.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
I gave it to Alice. That's just her touring drum kit now. It's always in her studio and can be taken out because I'm there's different drummers sometimes. The whole band is kind of a collective thing, so it's not always me playing.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just sharing my old drum kit. Might be interesting for you. It's a 1999 Yamaha Maple Custom Absolute drum kit.
Ooh,
Beautiful kit. 12 by 8, 14 by 14, and a 20 by 14 bass drum, I think. And
nice.
this beautiful golden finish, like a vintage finish that they had in the
Wow.
90s. You know that? Like, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
such a gorgeous kit, and it's like I was not using it so much anymore. It kind of I had it as my around town gig kit that I was schlepping around sometimes. But as you know, I have a lot of drums, so I
yeah.
got something else for that already. So this was just sitting on the shelf in my apartment, and yeah, we just took it on tour, and it sounds amazing. I have to say, like I'm never going to sell it. Also,
Yeah.
not because I just want to I don't know, honor my parents, you know, that they gave it to me at an early age,
Okay.
and kind of like, you know, like it's just amazing. Like this kid kind of always reminds me of like how lucky I was with the support system that they gave me, you know, and so even if I wasn't into the sound so much for a couple of years, now I'm actually loving it again, and yeah, it will always be part of my collection. And for me, it's like drums have to be played, right? So rather than it sitting on a shelf in my studio or something and not being used so much, I just want it to be there in the studio, be used by everyone, you know, and just yeah, instruments have
Yeah,
to be played, you know, like this is just
exactly.
so important, and
No,
they get better from being played actually.
yeah, 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 yeah. Agreed. And when did you start playing actually? What age?
mm, I mean, like seriously, I think around age 10 or something like that. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but I was always interested. I can remember um there's photos of me as a like 3-year-old standing watching a marching band or something and being super fascinated, stuff like this. But like,
Mm,
yeah, I've always
that's
been
so cool.
just fascinated. Yeah. And I
That's
can see it
great.
now. I can see it now with my daughter, you know, like she just went to a show 2 days ago. I played uh, like with the piano trio. We played a beautiful kind of acoustic show, so it wasn't loud. You know, like you could bring kids. So it was the first time of her seeing me play drums. Actually, you know, apart from
Oh,
seeing what I do here in the studio, but like that was quite a thing for her, you know. So maybe that was her experience. That, who knows? I don't know. I didn't talk. She was saying, yeah, super, super, but I didn't.
Yeah.
You know, who knows? Maybe in a year she wants to play as well. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She would like to
How
have a
was it for
trio.
you? How did you get into drums or
It
music? Like,
was
let's say music.
well, I don't know. I discovered that I think that my passion for music is from my sister because she was
Cool.
always like, when you see us both like in a room, she's the one who's always like singing and like playing music, and I'm like the one who just listens to music like in a room, like just obsessing with music and artists and everything. So I think that it was always like amazing to hear music at home
Yeah.
and just like I don't know, like in the golden age of MTV, just listening to
Yeah.
the
Loved it.
top 10 and everything and Linkin Park and everything. So when I got like a bit older and I could just like research about music and everything, I I started listening to it a lot, like getting into rock and then finding favorite bands and then falling in love with a lot of artists. And then I had this stage in my life that I really liked like some like really energetic music for like let's say like Paramore or Rise
Hmm.
Against and Linkin Park, let's say. So whenever I heard some kind of like that music, the drums were like the most fascinating part of the music because
Oh
it was
yeah.
like so energetic and
So powerful.
I could not even comprehend like how do you do that? Is that an instrument? Like what the hell is going on? And like I just started to get into it, and I know I was listening to a certain song that's called Savior from Rise Against,
Hmm.
and I was like, I'm gonna play drums to this music, to this song. And yeah, it was like this, and I was like, I'm gonna search for a music
So
teacher,
cool.
a drum teacher, and I did that, and like the rest is history. I had
Here
a
we are.
like yeah, the I had a band in high school because we had like a studio in the basement, and like we did a bunch of songs. We did like sh school shows, like, and even gigs out of school. Um, and like when I was finishing high school, I was just like, I don't want to do anything else except like drumming to the rest of my life and doing music. So I went to like music school, and yeah, here we are. So it
So
was
good.
actually the not so like I wasn't exposed to drums at a very young age, but I kind of found my way to them
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
at around 13. I don't really remember the age, but I think it was around 13. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, I somewhere read that Mark Juliana started at like 17 or something. Like,
Yeah, and
crazy.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like there's so much
Yeah.
you can do like in a I guess the first years of your playing that it could like skyrocket you
It's
into
That's
like
the thing. Yeah. It's just about focus and having the right teacher and stuff like this. I think, like, definitely.
exactly. And one question that I wanted to ask
Yeah.
is like and your cymbal setup like on the tour, what was it?
Oh yeah. Of course.
Yeah.
How can we forget about that? We're on a Mehmet channel, so what is
Yeah.
this? Yeah. So for this run, it was a bit different than what I usually do with this group. I usually play pretty big and dark cymbals there. I use 24-inch MC Jazz Ride, my favorite cymbal on the planet, um, and kind of always a heavy 16-inch hi hats, thin 16-inch hi hats, kind of most of the time two crashes that I just combine, and
Hmm.
then there's sometimes a third cymbal, but that's more of a sizzle cymbal or something like this. But this time, we had a couple of flights to do, and we had so much stuff to check already. So I wanted to keep the costs a bit lower. So I took a cymbal backpack, so I could only fit cymbals until 20, I think. No, 22. So I couldn't take my
Okay.
huge cymbals, right? So this time I just took the most versatile cymbals I could find. So it was the 20-inch Legend Dry with a sizzle chain, and I think a 21-inch Origin Dark and 15-inch Legend Dry heads, like just very all around cymbals. And I figured out these were for half a year now. So these were my only cymbals that I had in Berlin in my apartment, and I had all
Hmm.
my other shit here at the farm. And I noticed I can play everything with these three. It was
Yeah, yeah,
insane.
yeah.
I could go to any session, every gig, and it's pretty incredible. Like to realize this. Like I mean, it's still justifies, I think, having a couple of options, but
Hmm.
yeah, it just made me again aware of how incredible these instruments are and how musical, like how they really blend into any musical situation. Like I was playing within within 2 weeks. I was doing like this Red Bull thing with German rappers, 808s, trap hats, and a kind of a rock trash drum kit with these cymbals. Then I played the singer songwriter gig on a big stage. Then I played acoustic piano trio, and it all worked with this cymbal set. It's incredible, right? Like they just blend. It's like can't really describe what it is. It's something, I don't know, something so silky and like the top end is so smooth and silky. It's not
Yeah.
harsh or anything. So
Yeah, I
I don't
love
know.
the
It was impressive. It was like shout out to Mehmet and Carl and all crew. Like really, really like blessed to be able to play these. And yeah, I mean, I have
exactly.
way too
And
I have way too many, but like yeah, you only need these, like these three, like a good crash ride, a good ride, and a good hi hat, and that's it. Like
so
can do
that's
anything.
an we could take that as an advice for someone who likes to, I mean,
I think
uh,
so. Yeah, definitely. Like
yeah. So if they want some versatile symbols from Mehmet, they could go easily for the Legend Dry, the whole series,
I
if
would
you
say.
ask me.
There's
Like,
one exception to this, I would say.
mhm.
I think the 22-inch ride is not as versatile because of the
It's a
big
bit
hammer marks.
darkish.
It's special. It's like I had it for a while, um, and I found it hard to find the right context for it in this sense. Like I mostly used it for electronic music. That's where to me it was like killing everything else I'd ever heard. Like it just to me sounded like part of a drum machine or something. Just so cool.
Mm,
Yeah, or even the set of traditionals. You could just get a set of good traditionals and you would kill it. You know, like it's. But I have to say, yeah, Legend Dry. I think they're a touch more modern than the
hmm.
traditionals. So
Yeah,
if you play more modern styles, I think yeah, to me
I
the most
think,
versatile series. Because the thing is, they're not that dry. Like they are named
yeah.
Legend Dry, but they are not that dry. They're just super controlled. And that's what I
Mm,
love about them, and that's why also all the sound engineers I've been working with in the past month, everyone just loved it. Like they really give space also to a lot of other frequencies. There are so many cymbals that I also owned, but I sold them in the meantime. Like that sounded so beautiful on their own. Like if you go for like an old Turkish vibe, like or these crazy super thin jazz cymbals or so. Like they sound incredible on their own and like a universe on their own. But as soon as you put them in context, sometimes they are taking over. And this is, I think, what never happens with Mehmet cymbals. They are always made with the music in mind. Like how
mm,
they would blend. and that they are not such like super crazy universes in themselves, but as soon as you play them in a context, it opens a whole
Yeah.
universe. You know what I mean? Like maybe it's a bit too but
Abstract.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
but
think
I see what you mean.
most of the other Turkish companies don't get it like that. That's the thing.
Mm,
It's really
mm.
crazy. Like Mehmet just got it figured out. It's incredible.
Yeah, I think, but it's like I think it's, I don't know what makes them like that, but I guess the fact that it's really handmade and every one that we're playing is like made by a real person that really hears it and tweaks it and
Yeah,
tweaks
yeah,
it
absolutely.
and all the little nuances that go into like making one symbol is like incredible. And
Insane.
I, I really, for example, my go-to is as well, like whenever I go somewhere and I don't know what will fit the music, and it's like a first rehearsal or something, it's always like the 20-inch Legend Dry. It's like I know it will do the
Same.
work.
It's
Yeah,
always.
yeah.
Yeah. Can't it
And
sounds like a symbol, like a beautiful symbol.
yeah, and nostalgia hi-hats. It's like
Oh
I
yeah,
love
yeah.
those.
I don't have them, but you told me about them that they're incredible, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And so you played a 20-inch Legendary, 21-inch
That's on
Origin
the
Dark.
left. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then
And
15
what's the?
inch hi-hats, Legend Dry as well.
Oh yeah, I have
Yeah.
those. Yeah.
But I have to say I had a specific trick there. I used two bottom cymbals.
Oh,
Yeah, to make it drier.
okay.
Like a bit
So
less, like I wanted it a bit more control. So I had just another bottom, no, another top actually that I put on the bottom as well, to
you had three symbols.
yeah, three cymbals on the hi-hat
Okay.
stand. Yeah.
And
I do
what
that
was
quite
the
a lot.
third one?
That was 15-inch Origin Dark, but it really doesn't matter what it is. You could take anything. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like if they are close together, so they really don't
Mm-hmm.
move and don't have a sound at their own. It's basically you're making the bottom sound totally dead through that.
Yeah.
And to me, like this, um, the hi-hats sort of get a lot more controlled and sound less like they're losing a bit of the bell character, which
Mm-hmm.
for this music was really required. That because the whole recording, the record and stuff that was done, it's all super dead 70s style drum, like to tape, no bottom hats, everything dead. So we really tried to translate that to the stage as well. So everything had to be just out of the way as soon as
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I do that in the studio a lot, like deadening my bottom cymbal to just, if you
And
compress,
if you
it has something to do with compression, right? Like if you add compression at the front of house or in the studio, you want to eliminate all the kind of bell kind of frequencies that you would get from the bottom cymbal.
mm,
Um, yeah.
and if you stack like the way you're stacking your hi-hat is like the odd one out is the on the bottom, or where do you put it?
Um, I think it's in the middle. It's in the middle
The
because
middle.
yeah, I think if I'd use the bottom, I think the one I'm putting inside is a bit flatter. So like this, they really perfectly fit onto each
Okay.
other. Yeah. And actually, it's interesting. I saw a video by Benny Greb or something. I think he had even 3 or 4 bottom cymbals. Check that out. Yeah, it's insane. It's like to get it like deader than dead. It was very
Yeah,
interesting.
cool.
So I think I stole this trick from him or from Blair Stinta or someone. Like it's definitely not my
Hmm.
own idea, but
Yeah,
it works amazing. Especially yeah, if you work with compression, it really helps. Like
yeah.
in the studio, sometimes I put a towel or like a piece of fabric into my hi-hats. That's what I do a lot as well. But
Mm.
yeah, I didn't want that. I didn't want to do that on stage, because it flutters around. So just putting two cymbals on top of each other is just safe. Like it will not move. There wasn't a millimeter of air fitting in between these.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Cool.
it's great. Very nice.
And since you mentioned your studio, and I've
Yeah.
been wanting to ask you this question, like if someone wants to have a
Let
home
me quickly
studio.
put on the light. I just noticed it's getting dark already.
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So here we are.
Oh, there you
Yeah.
are. Okay. Cool. So, if someone wants to have a home studio and record
Yeah.
drums, what do you recommend? What do you think is essential for a home studio?
Okay. Mm, it depends, I think, what you want to do. But if you
Mm-hmm.
want to record professionally, like let's say it like this, if you want to record drums professionally and want to deliver results that people are about to use, I think let's say I assume you have drums, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
and maybe you have a couple of mics also,
Okay.
but then the first thing you have to do, I think, is really, really get your room to sound decent, to
Yeah.
eliminate all the weird room notes and weird frequencies that are always present on a recording, because this you cannot remove from a recording in any way digitally or something. So your room has to sound good. And many people actually, I think, are going the other way around. They buy all this super expensive drums and buy tons of outboard and crazy mics, but then I see a blank wall behind them, and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? You know? Yeah, it's cool. You know, no offense. If you want that sound, it's fine. But so
Yeah.
it doesn't even have to be expensive. That's the thing. Like it's just really just care about the room, like, and really, really make like a mental investment in like how can I make it sound good, right? So what I did, I built these panels that you can see, they're all around, right? Like these standing
Mm-hmm.
panels. Then I have a matrix here on the top. That's my cloud. I'm going to.
Mm-hmm.
This is just a temporary studio, right? Like we're currently building out another one. This will be way more professional
Oh,
with proper treatment. But for me, I needed it to be flexible, you know. And
yeah.
I was so lucky that this room just sounds good naturally because it's an attic. It doesn't have many rectangular walls where you don't have so many crazy reflections. So the first time I played drums in here without any dampening, it sounded already nice. It sounded like
Yeah.
pleasant. It didn't sound
Mm-hmm.
like super boomy or boxy or anything. It just sounded pleasant. So from there, I just made it better.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are in a normal like bedroom apartment, you're really going to have problems, especially with like low ceilings,
Mm-hmm.
narrow walls, you know, all these things that create reflections. So that's the first thing. Do something about it. Get like rock wool, build panels yourself, set them up, try it out, find the best spot, and from there on, I think, yeah, I went a direction investing in my instruments first, and then microphones, and then outboard. Like that's to
Mm-hmm.
me kind of the importance of the recording chain is like, well, your playing ability, right? Your hands, your ears, what you can do to the instrument, of
Exactly.
course. Then the room that happens in your instrument, the instrument itself. But if your hands and the room is good, the snare drum can even be shitty if you can tune it and do, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so that's to me the third. And then what are you capturing it with? Should be decent microphones, because I see microphones as kind of a EQ, right? It's kind of a pre EQ. They just have a color,
Yeah.
and
Mm-hmm.
you just think about which color you want and just get microphones accordingly. But you can do great recordings with two SM57s
Mm-hmm.
if you have a good, if you play well and have a good room, and the
Yeah.
drums sound good, then you can make incredible, like, some of my favorite music has been made like this, you know, like, I think whatever, like some Tame Impala stuff or so is done with three microphones, you know, like it's such an incredible iconic drum sound, you know, like this whole
Exactly.
like if you know what you're doing, you don't need much, right? And yeah, and then the last thing, but I think that's really, really like the last thing of the chain is like, yeah, getting outboard preamps, getting maybe an outboard EQ or something like this. But then we're already at a level where, you know, your client will not expect you to have that, and it's more about getting the extra 0.5% in there, you know. But
Yeah.
definitely get your playing together, your room, your drums, some two simple but good microphones. I think that's important. Just buy something. If you buy 4 SM57s, you can never go wrong with it because you will always need them. That's the
Yeah.
thing, right? If you get some fancy weird Chinese microphone and only have that, that might be a bit, you know, like I would just get something simple that just has stand the test of time in 100,000 situations before.
Yeah.
Of course, I do have also some fancy, crazy cheap mics, right? That's where the fun begins. But you know, like if you only have that,
Mm.
then it might get a bit tricky.
Yeah.
Um,
Cool.
that said,
I should.
SM57s are quite cheap actually, right? So it's not
Yeah.
a huge thing to get them. Like just
Yeah.
amazing, best mic ever.
I should take notes for that as well because I need to. I mean, I want to up my game with my room, like studio room and mics and everything. So I'm just like picking up stuff,
Yeah,
uh, taking
it's
notes to
of
what
course, yeah,
to
yeah.
where to go.
It's actually no rocket science, right? It's literally just for the room. It's about eliminating early reflections. So
Mm.
if you have maybe 8 panels, and bass is a big thing. So if you put heavy sheets of rock wool in the corners, that basically acts like a bass trap, and you can
Mm-hmm.
put nice, maybe in your case, nice turquoise fabric around it. You know, then it doesn't
Oh
look so
yeah.
weird. You know, and yeah, it's actually all available. All the knowledge is on the internet. It's very very simple. Actually, it's no
Yeah.
rocket science. It just seems
Mm.
intimidating at first, but the thing is, we as drummers, we know how it has to sound, right? Our ears are trained to hear how it sounds. So that's how I approach the whole engineering thing. For me, treating the room and selecting microphones and all that stuff is literally just, I don't think about it from an engineering perspective, like a sound engineer. I really think about what do I, as a drummer, want to hear. I think
Mm.
that's the big plus of drummers engineering themselves, because sometimes if you have a sound engineer yourself, sometimes you might be like, ah, well, he thinks that's great now, but that's not what I hear. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's yeah, that's a communication thing then. But yeah, you should definitely get into that. It's really like you can just call me anytime. We can give you some. You know, thing is, I
Yeah.
also just learned it along the way. It's like I just hung
Mm.
out with people who did it before and just talked to them. So it's actually really really hands-on knowledge. Just start with it, you know, and just be aware
Yeah.
of it, of the room sound and stuff. Yeah, yeah,
Exactly.
great that you're
Yeah.
going that route as well. I think
Yeah.
it's interesting. It kind of has become I think before the pandemic I was still kind of one of the very few people doing remote sessions, but
Mm-hmm.
now it has become a
A
standard
thing.
thing. Like if you're not offering that, it's like you're not working pretty much, right? It's like
Exactly.
I know many people who got into it recently just because they were, yeah, like people always ask them for that, you know, like it's really interesting. Also, if you think about the economics behind it, like it's pretty incredible when you can offer pretty much, if you're wearing three hats in a session, right? You're the drummer, you're the engineer, and the studio landlord, pretty much.
Yeah.
um, and even, yeah, whatever, mixing engineer sometimes. So this is all important to when you're pricing yourself, that you, yeah, that you factor that in some way. I feel like, you know, like
Yeah.
I see so many people on Sound Better offering remote sessions for like $50 or something, but this can also not be the future for all the incredible like knowledge that you assemble and
Yeah.
put in there. But let's
Mm.
see.
Mm.
It's important it's interesting to see how it's gonna evolve. I think it's yeah, there will be a point in time when you cannot be a drummer and not do it. I think, you know.
Yeah, and I think that's a good thing. Like it's good that we can be like and have the option to be independent, like not to go in a studio
It's
because you can.
incredible. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
so good. It's so cool. It's like it's just democratized, right? Like it's
yeah.
like I think 10, 15 years ago I wouldn't have been able to do it. That
Mm,
simple.
mm.
Just
Yeah,
because the like the gear was so much more expensive back then, and also the softwares was not so good, and the knowledge wasn't as available as it is today. So literally everyone who wants to get into it can do it, right? You just need
yeah,
the right amount of fire and dedication for it, and then like, and it's
yeah.
so much fun anyway, right? It's just
It is. Yeah,
cannot see my spend my days in any other way.
yeah. And like I know that you are into vintage sounds and like mostly
Yeah.
that's how your drums, how you make your drums sound, but most of the time, right? And I know that you mentioned that you use
Yeah.
triggering but in post-production, so I wanted to ask if you use triggers. Do you have like physical triggers that you use
Mm-hmm.
sometimes?
Yeah, I do. I'm actually a Sunhouse artist. I don't know if you know this guy.
Oh,
Like it's a sensory percussion.
yeah,
Do you
no,
know
I
the
didn't
system?
know. Yeah,
Yeah,
and it's amazing.
it's so good.
Yeah,
So I have a
yeah.
full set of Sunhouse triggers that I got, I think, 3 or 4 years ago when I was working with this Australian artist Kaisen. We had a live show that was very depending on this. It triggered a lot of stuff in the show, even other elements, not only drums. And yeah, I had a good vibe with them. I don't know. I know Tona quite well, the founder, and they came to Berlin. We hung out a lot. I organized some workshops for them in town.
Mm,
Um, yeah, so I have this. I have a full kit of these, and uh, live, yes, I use it, but in the studio, I'm not triggering at all. I'm doing it
mm-hmm,
all later. Like when I did the actual, I'm layering electronics. Sometimes I'm using audio to MIDI conversion,
mm-hmm.
so that I don't have to manually adjust uh, claps or percussion hits by hand on the screen. So I use every DHW has that, so that it's super easy to just trigger certain
Yeah,
sounds.
exactly.
Yeah, but it
Cool.
really depends. It's totally dependent on the project. Sometimes I program before I even record drums. If I want everything super gridded, I don't, sometimes I do it the other way around. I program the whole loop or percussion electronic
Mm-hmm,
thing before I go in the drums, because this really affects how you play to a loop, for example, instead
yeah,
of building the loop afterwards. So yeah, so many variables to that
yeah.
whole process.
Cool.
Um,
But it's so cool to see that to hear that you. I didn't know that you were a Soundhouse artist. So can
uh,
you like talk some more, because I find that like the whole system fascinating. Never
it's
tried it
it's
actually, but it
it's
seems really
extremely
fun.
fascinating. Yeah, it's like I found it through. I don't remember. I think I've watched a video of Sun Lux, I think, a couple of years ago, and I was so into it, like the way Ian was using it.
Mm,
And then I was at a point in time when I was also writing some solo music, like ambient music and experimental music. So I always found there was this disconnect between me, the sound designer working in front of the computer with Ableton, for example, and softwares, and me, the drummer. And I tried different incarnations of a solo set where I would have like I tried the thing where you have acoustic drums and then like piezo trigger microphones going into guitar pedals, for example, creating an ambient thing. Then I tried the drums and laptop thing with a MIDI controller, but I always found it super distracting. I never felt like 100% comfortable with playing either drums or electronics. I tried also to use it in a couple of like improvisational contexts with other musicians, and then was never really happy with with the setup. And then I found the Sunhouse thing, and that just was amazing because you could really just close your eyes. Like if you had invested some time in programming it before, right? Like that's the thing.
Mm.
Takes a lot of effort before, but I could play my solo music like just so effortlessly and beautifully, just because it was organic, such an organic way to interact with electronics, because you don't turn any knobs. You're triggering effects or velocity by your playing. And yeah, this was pretty amazing, I think. Like, and I used it also a lot the other way around for sound design. Like
Yeah.
sometimes I did an abstract thing for a museum. So the year before, I would have just assembled a lot of sounds on the screen and made a timeline. And there, I was just improvising with experimental sounds and playing freely, like kind of free
Yeah.
music. So
That's so cool.
I really think it freed up a lot of my interaction with electronic music in that way.
Mm.
Unfortunately, I haven't had so much time anymore to dive into my own music in that regard and really practice it and go into it, because I was just working so much for other people. But I will get back into it, and so it's just a matter of time. It's just an exciting technology, and it just keeps getting better.
Yeah.
Every update is crazy. Like every time they have a new feature or something that is really changing the game. So shouts to
I kind of
Turner
lost
and
you. Can you
Tinoff.
repeat that?
I said every time they're releasing a new update, the system has gotten better. It's really incredible
Okay.
how fast they're progressing.
Perfect.
Incredible
Yeah.
technology.
So cool. And like I do have like some a couple of quick fire questions. So just like you need
Let's
to
do it.
like pick one. So
Yeah, there you
first
go.
one, would you pick a hi-hat or a ride for your gig? Like if you had to
Oof.
only pick one.
Wow, that's so heavy. I think I would take a pretry big hi-hat, like a 16-inch
Okay.
or 17-inch hi-hat. That would be fine. Can do anything with
20
that.
inch hi-hats. Legendary.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen someone
Yeah.
do that. But yeah,
That's a really smart answer. Okay. So, a 26-inch ride or a 20-inch?
yeah, 20-inch, just more
20?
versatile. And it fits
Cool.
it fits on the plane. It fits on the backpack. It's yeah.
Mm.
26 is
And what
beautiful,
about
but it's too crazy.
you will keep that in the studio?
Yeah, exactly. No schlep.
And Legend dry or Legend dark?
Uh, I have to answer Legend Dry because I've never played a Legend Dark Cymbal.
Okay.
Never touched it, but I have to.
I have the 24 that I talked to you. I send it to you, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
like
it's
on
incredible.
audio.
I
Yeah.
know, yeah.
It's like really
I was
glassy
jealous. I wanted
looking.
it.
It's so good. And okay, rack tom or floor tom?
Floor tom.
Floor? Yeah, same.
100% floor. Yeah. Or no tom. I don't
Snare?
need any toms. I do a lot of gigs, just kick, snare, and head. That's the best.
Yeah,
Who needs
yeah.
toms?
And if you need tom, you have your bass,
Yeah.
like for one hit. Um, so snare or bass, like kick drum.
Snare drum. Snare drum.
Snare? Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
what's your favorite song?
Wow. I have that's such a hard question. Does it have to be a
I
song or
know.
can it be a musical piece or anything? Wow.
Whatever you're obsessed with right now.
Right now, okay, let's say maybe in live or right now. Yeah, that's a big. I mean, I have so many music that I love. I cannot pick. But if I would have to, I mean, the first movement from Keith Jarrett's concert, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think this is.
And go for it.
Yeah, it's one of
Okay.
my favorite musical pieces. Yeah.
Nice. I need to listen to that if because
Um,
that's a
everyone needs to listen to that. Yes, it's insane.
can you tell me the name of it? Can you tell me?
Yeah, it's Keith Jarrett is the piano player, and the concert is Köln Concert. Like it's a legendary recording of Keith Jarrett, and it changed my life.
Yeah, we'll listen to that. And favorite mic?
SM57.
Okay, I
Easy,
think we
easy
figured that
answer.
out. Yeah,
Easy.
cool. And yeah, just got one more favorite symbol.
Um, 20-inch Legend Drive. It's simple.
Okay.
All these questions are simple. It's so clear in
So
my head.
if you like the le 20-inch Legend Dry is the SM57 of the mics,
I would
right?
say yes, yes, absolutely. Everyone should have one. Can't go
So
wrong
that's
with
the
it.
point of this like podcast or whatever it is.
Yeah, make your life
Something.
simpler. You don't need all that
Yeah.
stuff, right? Just make it simple.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you so much. I don't know if you have anything else that you would like us to talk about.
um, yeah, I mean, I would like to. I don't know how much time we have left, but what I find a fascinating topic to talk about with you, like I was just interested, what's your approach to social media? Like, I mean, you're so active and so successful in social media. So I was really just thinking, like,
Thank you.
what is your routine for, like, do you have a routine, or how much time is it taking of your day, or how do you structure your thing? Because for me, it's like I've just recently gotten actually into it. I mean, I'm not
Mm.
such a tech guy, and I whenever, like, I never make any content or anything. I just, like, whenever I record a song for someone, I quickly put up an iPhone and cut 30 seconds or something. But how do you structure your thing? I find it so fascinating, and like how does it work? Like,
I think
I think many
it's
people want
like
to know. I can really see many people are interested in that these days, right?
yeah, I think
Do you have a
it's like
schedule, or you know?
I do actually have a schedule and I do have like a couple of weekly goals that I want to achieve like
Wow,
with
so
with
interesting.
doing. So but it's like a developing process for me because I didn't start with a routine and I didn't start with a goal. It took me quite a time to even start posting because I wanted to start social media for quite a time, but I didn't start until COVID hit. So when COVID
Interesting.
hit, it was like, okay, I have time to start this now, and I don't have anything else to do because like my schedule is completely empty because nothing is happening. And as you said, I back then I didn't even have any kind of mic or any kind of a studio if I just had my drums and my phone. So I just started doing some um like phone recordings and started posting that, and then I started making loops at home that I had like started doing it, but now I finished in like the COVID time,
Hmm, hmm.
like lockdowns and everything. So I kind of merged those two, like my loops that I was doing. I was like, okay, and now I can play drums to my loops. So why don't I try how that goes? And I liked the product, so I was like, now I can just do a video of how I'm playing
Yeah,
over my
yeah,
loop.
I see. So it was
And
just
it
a
was like
natural
really like,
development.
yeah, like spontaneous thing. And when I started posting, it was like once a month, and then I'm gone for like 2 months, and then twice a week, and it was like so irregular, which I know and I'm certain that happens for a lot of people. They are not consistent. And then
Yeah, guilty.
like I started getting like a couple like a couple of people like really supporting me, and like people liking my stuff, and like random people just like telling me like, hey, I love your stuff, you made me like do this or this. And I was like, wait a minute, like this is like the power of like just
That's
putting it
crazy.
out there.
Yeah.
And like I started taking it more seriously, and just starting to making it a habit. I think that's the thing. It needs to get in your like everyday life. So like you need to have like a certain process. So what's the process? I'm having like a song, a loop, a improvisation, recording, whatever that I'm gonna that I want to show to the people, you know? So what's the process? I'm getting that loop, I'm putting it into Ableton. I'm connecting my mic interface, and then I start playing, and I come up with something, and I put up my camera, do that, and then I do have sorry, I do have like a couple of different kinds of videos. So
Hmm.
let's say I do have like those improv videos that I almost every time do it with the Timbaltez, you know that guy with the
Ah,
drumless
yeah,
loop.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, so I have his
He's funny.
album, and he has like a ton of loops, which like he inspired me about like I saw that he's doing like he's uh putting his loops out there, and I was like, so I have my loops, and I just reached out to him to ask him about his process. So that's how I put up my album as
Great.
well. And this is such a messy answer, and I always have like messy answers. I go
Yeah,
like
yeah, no, but it makes sense. Like, so, but it seems that you are investing a lot of time in that, right? Like, it's your main
yeah,
thing. So you could say, right?
yeah, and
Interesting.
I think it's like I think I started getting it seriously. That was my point when I started seeing how important that is, and how much um like the social media, how powerful it is to build your brand, and like just put it out there so people know that you exist. And then I met
Hmm.
Carl, and then I met like wonderful people that I collaborate with still. And it's like I had to approach it as part of my job and what I do. And back to the question, like it is a routine, and I think it in the beginning it was so like it was a long process for me to get an idea and then execute it and then make it as a video that I'm satisfied with. And now it's
Yeah.
like it's really easy for me because I know the process. So to whoever wants to start like making content, um I would recommend that they need to be sure what their process is. So where do they start, and what they want to achieve,
Yeah.
and how are they going to do that? So every step of the way. So you need a
Putting it
camera,
down in
you
small
need
little steps, right? Yeah, yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I
Do you
know
think
that I'm
it's
putting up
is
a
it still
cam
cool to shoot with an iPhone?
perfectly. Yeah, iPhones are like the go even the audio is good from an iPhone. So like you can if you only have an iPhone,
True.
you have like the a good starting point.
Yeah, interesting.
And
But it's I mean,
and
I would love to do more, but it's just so, like for me it's just so it seems to be so time consuming, you know? Like so
mm,
the thing for me is whenever I post it's only when I actually worked, which is hard, you know? Like I would love to have a bit more even show different sides of my playing and stuff, but it's yeah, it's just my schedule doesn't allow it. So but I think that's just the thing, just do it more and then you get quicker and then it's easier, right? Like that's kind of
yes,
the whole
yeah,
thing. Yeah, I might book a consulting lesson with you or something at some point.
yeah, feel free to reach
And we can do
yeah,
tandem
and
learning, you know. I show you
yeah, yeah,
some
yeah.
recording. you show me some social media.
Exactly. And I think that would be awesome. And like the last thing I wanted to say is I do have like my goals evolved when it comes to posting and making content. So when I started first, I was like I my goal is to make a video that's good. And then
Yeah,
next goal was like my goal is to make a video that's good, but I need to do it every week, and then I need to do 2 times a week, and now posting 3 times a week. So it's like as you go and as you like grow and evolve and things get easier and like you know what to do and it's like quicker. I think your goals evolve with that as well. So
that makes perfect
I
sense.
think whatever you do, it's worth it to invest time in social media because as good as a musician, I think you are, and like as much time as you spend practicing and like investing time in your instrument, you need to do like you need to respect yourself and put that out there,
Mm,
because back to Dave Illich, I also like listened to a podcast or something that he was talking about that people need to know that you exist
yeah, yeah,
so
sure.
they can call you.
Yeah.
So if no one knows that you exist, like they cannot call you.
True, true, true.
So that's really a good thing to have in mind when you invest time in just putting
Yeah,
it
yeah,
out there.
totally. I mean, I could
Yeah.
totally, I know it from experience. Like when I started to post, I mean, I work as a drummer since many years, but I definitely got way more work from outside of my usual circles since I just posted some stuff. It's really sometimes it's just random people reaching out to me, uh, and then we develop a working relationship, and then we become friends or something. It's really interesting, right? Like
Exactly.
it's real. That's the thing. It's real
Yeah.
contacts, even if it's just on the app. But it's yeah, great to talk to you tonight. Even it became super dark
Yeah.
out here now. Now we're in like
Yeah, here as well.
summer.
There goes our afternoon, Saturday
Yes,
afternoon. But it was well spent.
totally. It was super nice. Yeah, such always a
Yeah,
pleasure talking to you, Martina. Really.
likewise. I don't have like a big like outro thing in mind, so thank you so
I
much
have a
for the
theme song
time.
in mind now. Like it's playing already.
Okay.
Martina,
Too
thank you
bad I
so
don't
much,
have to.
and
Yeah.
talk very soon, hopefully.
Yeah,
Ciao,
yeah.
ciao.
Okay. Bye-bye. Ciao, ciao.